Hello my kin, my name is Kin Ping, but you can call me Kin, and I'm back with the final episode of our Mortal Kombat 12 guest character tier list, hoping to get it done once and for all. We have got, I think, 47 more characters to rank here. Hopefully we'll get more in the top tier S category. I've got my script in front of me, but I can't actually remember where I put most of the characters coming up, so this is going to be real interesting. Just like the last two videos, I truly hope you guys enjoy. This should be really fun. If you do like this video, maybe consider subscribing. It will help me out a lot. If you haven't seen the other two, you should go watch those right now, because this is like the finale, I guess. But, for context, you should probably go watch the other two right now. And let's start, shall we? So we finished on, I think we finished on Nightmare Bonnie. So we are doing the nightmares. We are doing the nightmare animatronics right now. So next up, well, first up, we have Nightmare Foxy. And what did I put Foxy? Oh, I gave Foxy an E. I'll put Nightmare Foxy there as well, for the same reasons, really. They're the same character, and Nightmare looks a little bit different, but he's not that vastly different, so he gets an E as well. Nightmare Freddy. Okay, so out of all the FNAF characters, this is the one that we could actually have in a fighting game. This is the one that I think is actually plausible in a fighting game. And the reason is because he actually has stuff. He has the little Fredbear things, whatever they're called, and I think that those alone could make for, like, at least, two or maybe three really good and interesting moves. And he has big chompy teeth, so they could totally make the most out of that. I'm not going to put him really high up, but I think that if NetherRealm would ever try to do a FNAF character into one of their Mortal Kombat games, it should be Nightmare Freddy, so I'm going to give him a D. Ninja Turtles. I really want to see Ninja Turtles in another fighting game. Like, really badly. I thought they worked so well in Injustice 2, and putting them in a Mortal Kombat game would be really awesome. I know they don't really kill and everything, but it would be cool to see a more realistic, gritty Ninja Turtles, like the ones we saw in the Ninja Turtle movies, to fight alongside Johnny Cage and Kotal Kahn and Liu Kang and all that. I think it would be pretty cool, and it would make for some cool banter. I think Liu Kang and the Ninja Turtles would get along really well. I do really want them in a game. They're different, lots of them, all four of them are different. They have the potential to be a very different kind of fighting game character. Honestly, they could just play the same as they play in Injustice 2, and I'd still love it. So I'm going to give them an A. Obelix. I gave Astrix an E for reasons, because he's like a cartoon and that he shouldn't really be in an MK game. And I'm going to say the same for Obelix as well. He is a great character and really should be in a fighting game. I think more so than Astrix, but not Mortal Kombat. So obviously, is the same as Astrix. I'm going to give him an E. Omni-Man. I really like Robert Kirkman's stuff, mainly The Walking Dead, but I've just never gotten into Invincible, like I said last video when I actually talked about Invincible here. It just doesn't really catch me, and I've had enough of the evil Superman stuff. Omni-Man seems okay, but when you have someone like Homelander, who's just as powerful and so much cooler, he seems kind of lame. I can't actually put Omni-Man that high, really. Certainly not higher than Homelander. So I'm gonna give him a D. And for the first time in this video, I have to change the size of the screen. I'll be right back. I'm back. That was actually really easy. A lot easier than I thought it would be. Okay, anyway, who are we up to? We just did Omni-Man. Palpatine. Only reason I added Palpatine to this list was because I thought it would be really funny to see him lightning hands Raiden. But the more I think about it, the more I think he actually could be alright in a fighting game. Just his Emperor form from the original trilogy, it would be a bit boring. If you combined him with Palpatine from Revenge of the Sith, it would be pretty cool. I'd love to see his screaming barrel roll as a move. Because Darth Vader is a much better Sith in a fighting game, and he's an S, I think I can't really put Palpatine that high. I'm gonna give him a C though. I think that's reasonable. Next up is Pennywise. I'm not really sure about this one. It would be okay, but Pennywise isn't really a hand-to-hand fighter. I would really like to see him in the great graphics that we all know Mortal Kombat 12 is going to have. I think he would have good moves with his balloon, and he would have different appearances that could give him different abilities, but I think he would either be really fun to play or really average to play, so I'm going to give him a D. Okay, next we have Pinhead. Once again, I have not read the books or watched the movies, so I don't actually know much about Pinhead, but from what I've read online and everything, I think that they would be perfect for Mortal Kombat. I know that they're not much of a fighter, but they have their chains, and that could have a lot of really cool moves. You know, like Spawn's moves, but with more chains. I just think it'd be really cool. I've said this hundreds of times, I trust NetherRealm to nail the character, and obviously them being Pinhead, they would make some awesome brutalities and fatalities. I don't see why Pinhead shouldn't be in Mortal Kombat. I think their character would be great in Mortal Kombat, and he'll have lots of awesome chain moves, which would be really cool, because Spawn had chain moves, but they were never really used that much because of that fucking annoying move that we all hate. So I'm going to give Pinhead an S. The Kung Fu Panda himself. I do really think that Poe would be awesome in a fighting game. I really do. I love the movies. But like I said with other Kung Fu Panda characters and Astrix and Obelix, they're just too childish and funny to actually be in a Mortal Kombat game. They should be in other fighting games, of course, but ones that are less gory. But because of the sheer fact that I really want him in a fighting game, I'm going to push him up to a D. Predator. I've seen so much gameplay of Predator from MKX. I've seen so much of gameplay, and honestly, he was pretty damn awesome. I've never played him personally, but I wouldn't mind him coming back. I mean, I can't imagine he would be all that different if he was to come into Mortal Kombat 12, but he would still be fun to play, and with the enhanced graphics and everything, he would be really cool. I think I'm only going to give him a C though, just because he'd be almost identical to what he was in MKX. The Punisher. Just another dude with guns. We've already had so many dudes with guns, and we have Aaron Black and Cassie Cage using guns and they're actual Mortal Kombat characters. So having a guest character that just used guns, I feel like that'd be a waste of a guest character, and it would be awesome to see him fight characters like Kano and Cabal and everything. I'm not hanging out to see him in a Mortal Kombat game. It would be okay. He would have some cool intros, outros. His costumes would be really cool. But otherwise, I'm gonna give him... No, I'll give him a C. Rambo. He was okay in Mortal Kombat 11. He was pretty decent. I haven't actually played all that much of him, but he was interesting to play, and he had lots of cool moves and cinematics, especially his outros. His outros were some of the best in the whole game, but I don't think we actually need him back. He's done his dash in Mortal Kombat, so I'm gonna put him really low, and that's not because he's a bad character or that he would be shit in another game. It's just that he's already been in Mortal Kombat and he's already been used to his full potential, so F. Raven. I was so disappointed when Raven wasn't in Injustice 2. I never played the first Injustice game, and it just annoyed me so much that I couldn't play her in Injustice 2. I mean, I have played the mobile version, but I've never played it long enough to get Raven, because she's always such a high-tier character. But we're not talking about that. I would like to see her in Mortal Kombat. I think it would work. I know for sure that she would have some great abilities and some pretty awesome skins from all the other media types she's been in before. Her moveset wouldn't probably be all that different from characters like Spawn and Enchantress, but I'd still love to see it in a Mortal Kombat game, so she deserves a B. Rain. I've never actually played any of the Blood Rain games before, but I think that Rain would be a pretty cool character to have in a fighting game. She certainly has the right aesthetic and feel about her that other Mortal Kombat characters have, but there is one big problem. We already have a female vampire in MK, and that's Natara. I feel like if NetherRealm wanted to have a female vampire in their game, they should just bring back Natara and leave the guest character spot for someone else. So for that reason, I'm only going to give her a D. Red Hood. I want to see Mileena tear her apart so badly for personal reasons. I should give him an S for that, but that's the only reason I want him in the game. He would just reuse his moves from Injustice 2 anyway. Mileena should be in an Injustice game. Don't stain Mortal Kombat by putting Jason in it. F. Robocop. I think what I said for Rambo goes for Robocop as well. Honestly, I was surprised that they actually managed to do him as well as they did. NetherRealm really nailed him, and they did a great job, but I don't see the need for him being in MK12. He wouldn't really be necessary because he was done so well in the last game, so F. I'm sorry, bro, but Ron Weasley is such a loser. He's not interesting at all. And to be completely honest, he has a really punchable face. I'm giving him an F. There is no way I'm putting him higher than an F. I like Watchmen, and I really like Ross. I don't know how to say his name. I really like him. He's more of a detective, though. I've only read the comics, but in the comics he's a real detective. I think that he is cool, but he's not really a fighting game character. I think he would have good cinematics, but his actual gameplay wouldn't be that good. He deserves his own detective game. I feel like they should give him his own detective game, but as a Mortal Kombat guest character, I don't see that happening. He gets an F. Ryu, I don't actually know much about him. All I know is that he's from Street Fighter. I think that since he's so iconic in Street Fighter, he should probably just stay there, like I said with Chun-Li. And Street Fighter's always been a more cartoony game when compared to Mortal Kombat, and Ryu's kind of cartoony, especially if you compare him to Liu Kang. I think it would be a waste of time to put him in Mortal Kombat, as it would be for Chun-Li, so I'll just give them the same. I'll give them an E. Shaggy, I only put him here for the meme. I have to be honest, I would not want him in a Mortal Kombat game. He just would not fit a fighting game unless he had his Ultra Instincts powers anyway, and he has those in that new Multiverses game or whatever it's called, so go play Shaggy in that if you want, but Mortal Kombat wise, yeah, definitely not. F. Oh my god, Shredder, my guy. Why hasn't Shredder been in a Mortal Kombat game yet, bro? He is the perfect pick for a world like that. He needs to be in a Mortal Kombat game. He really does. And I know that one reason he hasn't been in a Mortal Kombat game is because he is, strictly speaking, a kid's cartoon character. But he shouldn't be pushed into that category. Shredder has the potential to easily be a very gruesome villain, and I think his moveset would be a chonky one, bro. It would be the same as, it'd be as if Shao Kahn and Baraka had a baby. That's what Shredder's moveset would be like. I think it would be awesome. And that's not even thinking about the cool skins and intros he would have as well. So, Shredder deserves an S. Shrek should be in the Multiverses fighting game with Shaggy. That would be awesome to see the two of them fighting each other. It would be the ultimate showdown. But, yeah, he's a joke. I'd put him on this list knowing that I'm going to put him in F, and I'm going to put him in F. There is no way that he should be in a Mortal Kombat game. You guys are, you lot are probably going to crucify me for this, but I'm putting him in F. And once again, I got to go resize the screen. Okay, back. And we just did Shrek, so we are Slenderman. I don't know much about Slenderman. All I know is that he's pretty creepy. He seemed like an okay horror character, but making him a fighter in Mortal Kombat would be a bit strange. It'd take away all the horror that he has, and that's kind of like his whole thing, isn't it? He would just be a tall dude with tentacles or whatever the hell he has coming out of his back. I don't think I'll put him in F though. I feel like he could be done. It would just be really hard to do so. And imagine some of the intros he'd have. He would have some cool intros. For the intro reason alone, I'll give him an E. Snake from Metal Gear Solid. He seems badass, but once again, he's just a dude that shoots guns. I can imagine for some people it would be really cool to have him in a fighting game, but I just think it wouldn't work. He's a little bit too boring to have in a fighting game. Solid F. Spawn. I've had enough of Spawn. That combo, bro. We all know what combo I'm talking about. That goddamn combo. I don't hate Spawn. I'm just not a big fan of that move. I make sure to always use different moves when I play him. Honestly, I wouldn't mind him being in another Mortal Kombat game, but if I had to choose between him and Shredder, I'd 100% choose Shredder. Nah, I don't want Spawn in another game. He was done well in Mortal Kombat 11. He don't need to be in Mortal Kombat 12. F. SpiderMan, I'm not a big fan of SpiderMan. I think he's kind of lame, but I don't want to sound biased when I say he shouldn't be in a Mortal Kombat game. I just genuinely don't feel like he should be in a Mortal Kombat game. Obviously, he couldn't do fatalities and brutalities. It's not his thing. He wouldn't do that. If he was going to be in a fighting game, it'd be a game like Injustice, you know, like make a Marvel Injustice kind of game. I don't really care. As long as he's not in Mortal Kombat, I'm happy. So, F. Springtrap. Now, FNAF 3 was easily the worst Five Nights at Freddy's game. It was boring and Springtrap wasn't the most exciting animatronic. FNAF 1, 2, and 4 were really good. Don't get me wrong, they were really good games, but FNAF 3 was just shit, bro. But this is about Springtrap, not FNAF 3. But Springtrap's no better. The fucker scared the shit out of me when I was young and saw the trailer, so F. Tai Lung, yo, Tai Lung. He's so freaking awesome, bro. He is the one character from Kung Fu Panda in this list that would actually work in Mortal Kombat 12. I mean, he is an animated character, but he is a brutal animated character, and I personally would love to see him fighting Shao Kahn. The two of them would be hilarious together. I can't imagine his moveset would be all that different, but he would have some cool basic combos that I imagine would be kind of like Liu Kang and Kung Lao's, more on the martial arts side. And his gear and cinematics would be pretty cool too, I imagine. So overall, I think he would be pretty awesome. I'm gonna give him a B. I gotta go resize the screen again, guys. Okay, we're getting into tricky territory, guys. It's actually gonna be really hard to do this tier list now. Hopefully I can just nick the top of them. Here we go. Thanos. Now this is a bit hard. This is a bit of a hard one because if he had the Infinity Gauntlet, he would just destroy. It would make for some really cool moves. I'm just not big on Marvel and personally think that Thanos is a bit of a rip-off Darkseid. So if he didn't have the Infinity Gauntlet, he would be pretty boring. I just think that MK is probably not the best game for Thanos. He'd fit a more cartoony fighty game. So because I'm not the biggest fan, I'm being a little biased. I'm going to put him in D. The Cat in the Hat. I mean, I would like to see it. I would really like to see it. I'd like to see the Cat in the Hat in a fighty game. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I just really would like to see it. I think it would be so funny. He could hit people with rakes and shit like that. It would be awesome. He's not Mortal Kombat material though, guy. Against my better judgment, even though it emotionally hurts me, I'm going to put him in F. The Flash. I feel like Injustice did a very good job with the Flash. I mean, he could have had some cooler stuff, but overall, I think he was done well. I don't really see the need for Flash, seeing that we have Cabal, who you could consider to be a speeder, and you know the Flash is a good guy, so I say that NetherRealm should keep him in Injustice. I'm going to give him an F. The Grudge. I certainly have not seen The Grudge because I'm really horrible with scary things and the like, but I think that she would be okay. From what I've been told, she's a vengeful spirit possessing their body after being killed in a gruesome way. I don't think it would really be good in a fighty game though, for the simple fact that it doesn't really fight and wouldn't have any interesting costumes and stuff. I do, however, think that it would be it would have a very interesting move with the hand coming out of the back of the head thing. Because of that and the cool crawling walk animation, I'll give it a solid E. Next up, Leprechaun. I've never watched a single one of the Leprechaun movies because they look like absolute crap. So I think I might be a little biased on this one, but I really think he shouldn't be in Mortal Kombat. He's small, of course, like Shaggy and stuff, so there are those reasons as well, but it just looked weird for the Leprechaun to be in a fighty game. I know apparently he's got lots of powers and everything, and he can reattach limbs and shit like that, but yeah, F. The Mandalorian. I'm so down to have the Mandalorian as a guest character for Mortal Kombat. I would love that so much. I think I'd even prefer him more than Boba Fett. Mando is just so awesome, and he has great gadgets and weapons, and I think that NetherRealm would be able to incorporate his armor into one of his abilities if he was to join the Mortal Kombat universe. And there is always the option of having Grogu come in and help in an ability or two or something like that. Other than his moveset, I think that both his cinematics and gear would also be great. Everyone knows him well, so honestly, there is actually a pretty good chance to have him in Mortal Kombat 12. I'm gonna give him an A. The Mask. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. I can see why some people would want him in a fighty game because there would be a couple good intros, good costumes as well, and maybe some good moves, but I don't really think it would fit. The Mask isn't a fighter, but the Joker isn't really a fighter either, so NetherRealm managed to do him. I just think it wouldn't work. I'm going to give The Mask, I'm going to give him an E. The nun. The nun from, I think she's from The Conjuring. She just seems to be a creepy nun. I can't really imagine her fighting, and if you want a nun in a Mortal Kombat game, just bring in an Adeptosaurus battle sister. Like, we have Morven Val, you know, we don't need another nun, so F. Thor. I think that both Marvel Thor and traditional mythological Thor would be great picks for a Mortal Kombat game. We'll talk about Marvel Thor. He would be cool with all his powers, and he could rival Raiden, and a battle between the two would be really cool. But that being said, his moveset probably wouldn't be all that different to Raiden. But he'd have a better mix, I think. So he could still be okay, but yeah, I'm not sure. It'd be a mix of maybe like Raiden or Kotal Khan. It would be interesting, but not interesting enough to actually get him as a guest character, I don't think. So I think he deserves a D. I really like Iris. And alongside Tai Lung, who I've already put in B here, I think that she could possibly fit in Mortal Kombat game. I don't think she's as good as a pick as Tai Lung, though, seeing that she's a good guy, and the two of their movesets wouldn't be all that different. So Tai Lung is obviously the best choice. She'd still be okay, but I don't think she's Mortal Kombat material. So I'll give her a D. Travis Bickle. The only reason Travis Bickle is on this list is because he's got those awesome pistols that flick up from his wrist. Those alone could make a couple awesome moves, but I think that's kind of it for him. He's a good character, but he wouldn't really give much else to the game, so it's probably just a better idea to give Aaron Black the weapons instead. He would just be a bit boring, you know, give Aaron Black the weapons instead. Otherwise, yeah, F. V. This is one character that I actually didn't know before looking for characters that could appear in Mortal Kombat game. As soon as I did some research about him, I knew that I had to have him in this list. He just looks freaking badass, and he's really strong, has great reflexes, so he would be able to hold his own against some Mortal Kombat characters. I can imagine him having lots of counters and stuff, and I really like his aesthetic. I think would fit well with some Mortal Kombat. So I'm going to give him B. Just because his moveset might not be as interesting as other characters. Venom. Not the biggest fan of Venom. I think he is alright, and the first movie was entertaining, but I do prefer him to Spider-Man. However, I think the whole symbiote thing is really cool and would make for some rather interesting moves. I think he also has the potential to have cool attacks and cool skins. So while I'm not really big on having him in the game, and there's also the chance that his moveset wouldn't actually have much interesting in it, I'm going to give him a D. Viper. Like Mantis, she's not humanoid, so could never really be a fighter. She could be called into assist, just like I said with Mantis and stuff, but couldn't be her own character, so that automatically gives her an F. Voldemort. Even though I find this guy incredibly boring, he could be okay. I think that Mortal Kombat would suit him. Would allow him to go all creepy and brutal and use those Death Eaters or whatever they're called. Wouldn't be too bad, but how is this guy going to be able to beat Raiden in that lot when he can't even beat a school of kids? I mean, really. I will give him a D though. I know he would have good cinematics in that lot, so good cinematics and stuff like that, so yeah, D. Wolverine, he would be an absolute savage, man. He would have some awesome command grabs. Like, I imagine his command grabs would be a lot like Lady D's, you know, with stabbing and pulling people up and stuff. I feel like his fatal blow would also be a lot like Melina's, maybe not the biting the neck part though. I know that his moveset wouldn't be anything amazing, but I just feel like Wolverine would be great. Like, he has a healing factor, so it would make the fights actually seem a bit more realistic, since he would actually be able to survive everything being done to him. And I really want to see his original comic costume in a Mortal Kombat game, especially with the awesome graphics and everything. So I'm going to be a little bit biased, but I don't think people will mind, and put him in A. Okay, our second to last character, Yoda. I think if we were ever going to see a small fighter in Mortal Kombat game, which probably isn't likely, it would be Yoda. I know the chances are low for reasons I've talked about with chucking Damien and everything. But it would be awesome to see Yoda flipping around and taking people out. I would, however, want characters like Mando and stuff from Star Wars rather than Yoda. So while he's certainly not at the top of the list, I'd still find the idea a little bit entertaining, so I will give him a D. Okay, last character of this whole list. Big Man Yondu. Bro, Yondu is the perfect choice for a Mortal Kombat game. I know I've seen this to lots of other characters, but I was playing Shang Tsung one day, and you know that move, the one where he does that area slam and then he waves his arm and that green projectile comes out and whacks people. I saw that and I was like, oh my god, bro, they need to have Yondu, you know? Yondu has to join. He would have awesome suits and cinematics, and of course in his cinematics he'd have to be voiced by Michael Rooker, because he's such a good voice actor. As for his moves, I think that they would be average, but the arrow would make for a lot of really cool, unique moves. He could have really good zoning as well. And NetherRealm would make sure to give him some other cool weapons and abilities, of course. But overall, I really want him in, like really badly want him in. So our final character gets an S. And that is it for this tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was a lot of work. I kid you not, that script took me ages to write, but it is finally over. Finally have the final tier list here, and I really truly hope you guys enjoyed that. It was really fun to make these 3 videos on this. Hope you guys enjoyed. You know, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what your thoughts and everything. So I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, my kin.